Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Satori. I'm 21 years old, and I am a psychic medium. And I am making this video today to talk a little bit about what it's like doing readings with someone who is open to the concept of a reading versus someone who is not. Now, I just want to say this one thing. A lot of the time, we think that we're ready for things, or we think that we are open for things until we get into it. And then we're like, oh my gosh, what did I do? And so there becomes this like push and pull between our ego and our higher self. And, ego versus higher self, that's a whole other video. But our ego and our higher self, and we don't know how to discern. We don't know, like, oh my gosh, okay, so what's happening in my brain versus what's happening in my heart, because clearly there is some kind of disconnect. So I've been doing readings for about 5 years now, but I've only been doing them like with, excuse me, I should go make some tea. I'm gonna go make some tea. Okay, my tea is making itself. But what I was saying is there's always that little voice in the back of our head that is doubting something, that is doubting the process, that is doubting what's happening on the outside. And I just think that, like, it's important to use your discernment before, one, you pick someone to get a reading from. I've seen a lot of psychics that are a little bit intimidating in their approach, and I've seen a lot of psychics who are super gentle, and some who have a good balance of that. I like to say I'm somewhere in between, right? And the reason I say that is because I don't want to scare someone, but I'm also not going to bullshit them. So if they come to me and they have expectations, I'm probably going to tell them, okay, leave your expectations at the door. Be fully present with me, because what I have to say to you may not be what you want me to say to you, and this is just a perspective. And I'm also one of those psychics where I don't really want to talk about the future. I want to talk about right now. I want to talk about what could be potentially worrying you and concerning you about the future. Where is this coming from? And a lot of people see it like, oh, if you go to a psychic who's really good at doing future predictions, that's really cool, right? But if you go into it with a heavy heart and a heavy mind, you're not going to get what you want out of it. You're just not. If you go into it saying, okay, I'm open to whatever they have to say, like this is whatever anyways, you're just going to hear it and it's going to go in one ear and out the other regardless. So it doesn't matter who you go to or what you hear. You're not going to listen to it. So be responsible with yourself. Are you actually going to be listening, or do you have this idea in your head, or is there someone you've been thinking about and you're really hoping that they talk about that person or they tell you they're coming back? Be honest with yourself. This whole spiritual community right now, I'm seeing there's been a flood of videos about twin flames and soulmates, all right? So do not go to a psychic expecting to get a love message. Do not. Because usually a lot of us who are really super in tune, we're going to pick up on that and we're going to say, okay, we're not talking about that at all. Let's talk about the root of it. Go into it open, all right? And don't sit there quiet the whole time. If there's something you have to say, you can say it. You don't have to shut up and listen. I don't control when you talk and when you don't. And I'm the kind of psychic where I want you to talk to me. I want to know what you're feeling. I'll probably stop and I'll say, hey, how are you feeling? Are you feeling okay? Can I keep going, or do you have any questions? Because the last thing, I want you to get something out of the experience. Now, let's talk a little bit about energetic consent, because I feel like that's where we need to go right now. It's one thing to say, I have an open mind, and it's another thing to feel like your mind is open. So when you feel like, okay, I'm fully open, like I really genuinely want to know, what can I do in my life to improve it? What changes can I make in my life to make my life better? If you walk into it with that and you feel it in your heart and in your soul, you're going to get an amazing experience, especially if you feel a kind of a pull towards a specific psychic or a healer. But listen though, your intuition is very quiet, your anxiety is very loud. So say you have one psychic that very clearly tells psychic that very clearly tells people what they want to hear, like your ex is coming back. And then you have another person in the back that is kind of just, they're doing their own thing. You know, they're helping people with past life traumas. They're doing all this other stuff. And there's a quiet voice that says, go to this one. But then your anxiety and your ego says, go to this one. You need to know when your ex is coming back. Listen to the quiet voice. Okay, your anxiety is so much louder than your intuition. Intuition is kind of like a whisper. Just make sure your intentions are in the right place so that you can have a good time with it, and so that you can really be engaged and really be involved in the process. You are not someone viewing the process. You are a part of the process. And if you want to view it, if you want to look at it objectively, you know, that's what that psychic is for. They are your other perspective. You wanted another perspective. Here's a person to give you that. So this kitten is scaring me. I thought he was going to like jump on the stove with the boiling water. So I was like, oh my God. But yeah. So, you know, this experience is what you make it. It's really about a perception that you haven't seen before, or one that maybe you have seen, but you kind of forgot about it. And just be open to receiving what's for your higher good. And something you can do before you get into this reading is you can talk to your own spirit guides and say, hey, I'm open to hearing what is for my higher good, the highest message I could possibly receive. Even if it's not a rainbow, sunshine, unicorns message, right? It's probably something you need to hear. So setting that intention is something really healthy you can do for yourself. It's also a boundary for yourself so you don't cross into something where you're becoming obsessive, or where you're becoming like caught up on something, on something else that just isn't real. It's like this image or video you have playing over and over again in your head of, okay, well, I want this to happen, I want this to happen. We've all been caught up in that, okay? We've all been caught up in that. So trust the process. I know it's a little difficult, but when you get a reading, you really never know what you're going to hear. So think about how amazing and beautiful that opportunity is that you have that in front of you and you have this as a resource. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you have any more questions about getting a reading and all of that, I would love to know in the comment section. But today I just really wanted to mainly touch on energetic consent. So, all right. Bye.